Yarak here with another CZN video. Today we're going to go through a Chaos Run Season 3 Theater Illusions just to show you my method of grinding for the perfect save data, including persona, engraving choices, the equipment, as well as skill cards, and then what areas you want to hit and what pathing priority is important so that you get the best deck possible. So we're going to stay with level 8. That will allow you to get a tier 15 save data value, and you really want to have that 15. A lot of these decks are going to be right around 180 save data points. And then the debuffs don't matter quite as much now. The discard randomly at the beginning of the turn can benefit, especially if you have Heidi Marie at E2 or higher, and she will proc her E2 extra attack when you discard that card. But the main debuff you don't want is the minus credits. You want to have as many credits as possible for re-rolling the shop. As well as for a team, really doesn't matter. Just bring Nia and Heidi Marie. If you haven't built either of the decks, then those two are perfect synergy for this run. And the third character, you can bring anyone, but I did bring 9 just because she smooths out the run a little bit. If Heidi and Marie does not get her cards in the first or the second turn, then 9 can kill all the mobs with just her hue. So ideally you do want to start with remove 2, and that will just give you flexibility in case you want to change the focus of the character that you're building. If you get the Divine Epiphany on a secondary character, and then say you have Veronica on your team and you get the Divine on the Repose, then it can be quite hard to change focus if you haven't already prepared for that. So as far as pathing goes, you want to hit these persona battles as early as possible to get your persona cards as well as their engravings. So I do have Heidi Marie at E6, so her E2 and E6 does a lot of damage just from discarding. So this is the card I want. Discard up to 2 cards for each discard is 60% damage. And I'm going to go ahead and keep this one. And now, since I have my persona card, I don't have to hit every one of these battles. And choosing the path, I can focus on also prioritizing the unidentified areas. Now early on, there is a event that will allow you to engrave your item. So if you're able to keep an item, don't extract all of them early on. And I'm going to try to lock in one more engraving so I don't have to worry about that later on. You can see she's quite insane. Now Nia, I'm going to go ahead and roll a card for her as well. If I don't get it, we'll just skip it. This is not the one I want to keep, but we'll just go ahead and keep it for now, just because it can be useful for the Chaos Run itself. Ideally, I'm looking for the plus 30% damage. These select and remove 1 cards are really important to grab, just because now I don't have to spend any more credits in the shop to remove Heidi Marie's cards. Then if I need to change the focus, then I can easily swap to Nia in case I get a Divine on Adagio or even G chord. And then in terms of padding here, we can go bottom, but we also want to prioritize as many red battles as possible. And that's mainly because I feel Season 3 is a little lacking for weapons for Heidi Marie. There aren't too many good options for her, and the Cthulhu weapon is probably best in slot for her. So hitting that is pretty important. Didn't get the Adagio that I wanted, so we can basically just rule her out for this run. I'm not going to re-roll Adagio and spend credits since my main focus here is on Heidi Marie. So now I can just focus only on Heidi Marie. Now, without focusing her, there is one that allows you to pull a quietest card and discard it from your deck. And that one is a good one to smooth out your runs. I don't know why these dice roll so slow now. And they took away the 3x speed that actually was very helpful in preseason. Alright, so here's our first engraving. And this is only once per battle, so it's not a great one. In the second half of in these chaos runs, these unidentified areas can have some pretty good events. So depending on whether you have your persona card and then at least one engraving at this point, you may want to consider skipping these persona battles as well, just to hit the unidentified areas. And then ideally you want to also hit the Delane shop early on as well. So 2 shops before the first boss. At this point, the items don't really matter. Even if you get a good item here, most likely we're not going to keep it. And that's because when we get to the shop, we're going to be basically shopping for the engravings, not the item itself. The items will be replaced later on. What you want is to have the correct engravings on your gear slots first. Oh, Divine Epiphany. Not what I want. We're going to keep re-rolling for Nia. Okay, this is the one that is useful for our chaos run and just smooth things out a little bit for us. This is the engraving that I want to keep. Ideally, we want 2 copies of this. We're going to confirm this. If we find another one, we'll replace the first one that we kept. This is the rare event, I believe, because it has the select to Divine Epiphany. So we're going to go ahead and choose this one. Now, Heidi Marie doesn't really need divines. And we're going to go ahead and try for Hero to All. Hopefully we can get a draw Epiphany. Alright, and we do. So this Hero to All, apply link to 1 cost or lower. Now this will hurt your deck if you have teammates with a lot of 1 cost or lower cards that do not have Quietus. But this is a pretty good card for her, especially if you can link all of her cards together. Now at this point, I do have a lot of credits, and we can consider removing some other cards like Soul Rift so that it doesn't take up an Epiphany slot. Now I've only hit 1 Epiphany on Heidi Marie's cards so far. So let's see, we have 1 Soul Rift here. Hue, Experience Strike, Fatal Strike. And none of those cards are really important. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove Soul Rift. For 80 credits, that's definitely worth it. And then we're going to refresh the shop. We're a bit unlucky with engravings. We're just looking for good engravings right now. And unfortunately, we didn't hit any. And we only hit 1 shop on our way to the first boss. That did not help either. So in the inner part of this chaos run, I'm going to be looking for an early shop if possible. See, this will link all of our cards together, and as soon as I play this one, then everything will get discarded. But it definitely works well with Heidi Marie if you have E6 on her. Discarding those cards will proc that passive. So I think it's really good for a auto deck where you link all the cards together, you discard, and then she outputs a lot of damage relatively quickly. I'm going to go ahead and just copy that one so we can increase our draw power. Usually I copy the Fulgent card and have multiple copies of that so I can have the unique copy as well as the Epiphany one. So I do want to hit these unidentified areas, and I already have the engravings that I want to keep. Well, actually, I think I need one more. So let's go ahead and lock that second engraving in. Now the first epiphany here is good for a certain build that's popular right now, but that's not what I'm going for. So I will need to re-roll that one. But we have the shop coming up right here. Alright, here we go. So we can select between the two different combatants and then select between the first or the second to replace. We're going to replace the first one, and now we'll have plus 30% for both engravings. Now our deck is actually looking pretty good. We have Divine on Hero to All and our Persona card already locked in. We're still missing 2 cards for her, but the difficulty for our build currently is our gear, the engravings on the gear, as well as the gear itself. Oh, accidentally pressed leave. We don't hit another shop. So there's 3 shops here in a row. So I'm going to have to definitely hit those. I clicked too fast. Might have bricked my run.
작은 빛을 모으고 모아 날카롭고 찬란하게.
Really need the Cthulhu event as well, so I can just grab a free weapon. I don't know the events very well for this one, but I think this leftmost, and then the leftmost gives you a Divine Epiphany, a random one. And that's what I usually go for. And hopefully that would just roll on a Heidi Murray card. So the pathing we need to choose does not matter too much as long as we hit these 3 shops down here. But I also want to hit as many unidentified areas as possible, so we're going to go this top path. Oh, here we go. Don't see too many one-turn kills for Cthulhu, but Heidi Murray just does so much damage. Now, none of these are the version I want, so I'll have to reroll that later on. We don't get the attack percent weapon. We'll just go ahead and go stick with the ring. There is an event in the second half, a very powerful ring that gives us 20% damage for each persona card at the beginning of the turn in your hand. And if we hit that event, that would be the best possible. We have a lot of credits. We're going to choose a select engraving. Now, the two options here are 2 and 3. 3 has a lot of utility. 2 is pretty good too, but I think I'm going to go ahead and go with the utility. There are better damage ones. And hopefully we get a damage one. There's just more options for damage, and there's just that one draw one for her. So when we hit the shops later, I think we'll have a better chance of grabbing a damage one.
응징하겠어요. 지지 않겠어요. 응징하겠어요.
Still really mad I accidentally left the shop. We could be sitting pretty good on some engravings right now. We have a lot of credits. Now the second half is where the event for duplication, as well as the epic ring or the mythic ring, as well as removal. So you do have to choose which one you want to keep, but for her, she doesn't really need to dupe all her cards. Just 2 dupes is good enough, first boss and second boss. So most of the time when I hit that event, I will go ahead and choose that mythic ring. So if we can get that event, we'll show you the ring.
여러분, 지지 않 작은 빛을 모으고 모아 날카롭고 찬란하게. 예상대로 효율적인 공격이었습니다.
Alright, so we got the 3 shops here. Go ahead and reroll my red light.
어떻게 있겠어요? 저는
Let me get the
늘
one I want to
후회한다는.
keep. So now we're just shopping for the engraving. This is a good one. Damage 25%. And not just for her, but allied attack cards as well. Ideally, you want the engraving and the correct bad this is on a ring. And the item itself. And once you get the engraving, you can also go ahead and buy the particular gear you want for that slot. This event is rather good for her as well. It gives a card here that is provides some utility. This faceless woman. When a link card is used, draw one time per turn. So in combination with engraving that also draws one, she can draw 2 cards per turn. Okay, this is number 2, the version that I like. Gives more damage to your link cards. We're having some pretty poor luck with items this run. Okay, this one is actually really good. I'm gonna just replace this ring. And the Amorphous Cube is actually a decent item on her as well. So now we're really looking for just a weapon slot. Now I haven't even hit her fourth ability yet. So we might not even get it before the end of this one. So this is probably a bricked run, despite having a good Divine Epiphany. Since I have a lot of data space, then this really doesn't matter if I get the Divine Epiphany or not. Reduced cost is always good.
여러분, 작은 빛을 모으고 모아 날카롭고 찬란하게.
I think where I messed up was leaving that shop early. Oh, here we go. This is a good one. Alright, so we have all of our engravings locked in. Now I just need to choose some better actual gear for those slots. Now this is maybe the best possible engraving. But this is also a good one to have on a support character since it's for ally attack cards. So I don't necessarily have to have this on her, but if I find this engraving early on, then I will definitely keep it. But at this point, I don't have enough credits to pick up this engraving and then reroll and buy another item on top of that. So I think that's it. We're not going to be able to better our gear. Now we're at 160 faint memory. We still have some space left, and our gear's not great for this run. And we haven't even hit our fourth card yet, the Fulgent one. Now, if we're able to get that card before the end of the run, then we could technically use a reroll item, edit item to change the epiphany on it, and that would help. Now this boss reduces the damage. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. So you have to kill these ads first, otherwise you won't damage the boss much.
예상대로 효율적인 공격이었습니다. 죽음은 두렵지 않아요. 그렇기에 맞서 싸울 겁니다. 이제
Alright, now once we have that out of the way,
지지 않겠어요. 여러분, 응징하겠어요. 지지 않겠어요. 도와드릴게요.
you just one-shot the boss. Okay, so we do get this. And then we'll go to duplicate. And I don't think I need another hero to all. And we'll just go ahead and grab a sword ring. That way the hero to all will draw this sword ring. And since it's Quietus, then linking it doesn't really matter. And we still get the 2 Fulgent Blades. So this could actually work out. Okay, this weapon extra attack damage is probably better than what I currently have. So this run isn't terrible. I got the persona with the engravings I wanted. The mods for my gear, the engravings, are actually decent. I have 2 damage mods and a draw mod. The gear itself isn't much to brag about. But the cards itself is probably the worst part of this deck, just because I never got that 4th card early on. So we'll go ahead and check it out. So here we can actually edit the data. And this effulgent expansion, we could apply a unique epiphany re-manifestation. I only have 5 of these, so it is wasteful to use on this card itself since this deck isn't perfect. But technically you can choose any of these epiphanies. And for this type of build, I think the 5th one, since it gets that out of your deck, limits the deck space, while still giving the Fulgent Blades every turn and the plus 50% damage amount to the blades. I think that's going to be the best option. But ideally, if you have this card by the first boss, you can copy it, and then you can choose the 1st as well as the 5th epiphany. I'm not going to go ahead and use this on this deck. Although this deck is decent, you can see here we got the damage mod here. We got another damage mod here. And then a 3rd damage mod. So just between the gears, the engravings deal a lot of damage. And none of them have a restriction of whether it's a Quietus card. They just add damage as long as there's cards in your graveyard. And this deck does a good job of doing that because 2 copies of Sword Rain will create these Effulgent Blades that will go into your graveyard. And then once compression is changed to release, then those will be exhausted, and then you'll get percent damage here from exhausting those from the graveyard. So not a terrible deck, decent one. I think I can keep this one and use this one potentially for my auto runs.